All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to OSU Philippines National 2025 mini alliteration. So, we have another four key matchup, and what an interesting lineup we are going to be seeing for our round of, I do believe, okay, that's
It's
round of 16. My bad.
Mhm.
It is going to be Forken versus Branya Zaychik. Um, Now, personally myself, I am pretty familiar with Forken, but not really with Branya Zaychik. We will get onto that later. But for now, in the commentary booth, I am going to be Nightcore. Joining me is going to be none other than Racer Reed. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Uh, I'm back, but yes, it's Lazy Read, by the way, not Race Read. It's just a random name that gave me, but
Oh,
it's fine. It's fine. Uh,
thanks there.
yeah, but like uh, Forken, like I'm sure everyone knows him. I know him. You know him. Your dog knows him. Um, uh, he's practically one of the best four key players in the world. And facing
Yeah.
him is Bronya Zacic, a player that we really haven't seen much from, what I know at least. Uh, they're apparently they're pretty good. Uh, and if it wasn't for this matchup, uh, you know, I'm sure that Bronya Zacic would have appreciated for an easier opponent. But here we are.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how tournaments go. Someone will always have to face a higher seed. But,
True.
someday it will come back to you where you will be the highest seed and facing the lower seed. But
Yeah.
yeah, we have a lot of potential we can see from Branya Zacic facing a very well-known name and a powerhouse known as at, like Forken. Definitely had the
Mm,
major improvement over the last few years. I do believe also participating in a few mini World Cups as well.
mhm,
So that's something kind of to keep your eye out on. But
mhm.
now we can get into the roles, and it looks like Branya Zacic is actually going to win the roles. So what are your predictions for our protects and bans? Oh well, Rice Reed's
Uh,
protected.
well, yeah. I would say that Bronya is a lot more consistent on the rice maps. uh, ranked 10 in both of the rice maps and qualifiers. I would, if I was Bronya, I would avoid playing the LNs because it's just tough. Uh, against someone like Forken, who is practically one of the best when it comes to physicality and LNs.
All right, it looks like Forkant is going to be resorting to be protecting Rice 2. Going to be the jump stream pick. Not ideally, I mean, not really too surprised about that. And for
Mm,
Forkant, I'm not really too sure on what's up for the table to be banned. Knowing that he is fairly well rounded, it could just be anything on the table. But for Bronya, I think, as you said, definitely stay away from the LN picks. Even hybrid could be a bit risky as well, despite their seedings actually seeding fairly high on the hybrid. Actually, wait, actually looking at this, their hybrid seedings were somewhat similar. Hybrid 1 was seed 6 versus seed 9. So maybe it would be a
mm,
bit less risky, maybe when you do exhaust all the rice picks. But no, he is going to be going for the rice. Wait, no, he's going to be going for the rice 5 ban, which is going to be our mixed rice. I know that's 4Ken. And Branya is going to be going for the Ellen free ban. I do believe that is going to be our technical pick. Not ideal. I mean, not really too surprising, especially that in the qualifiers, the LN technical was going to be their weakest, so it was kind of to
mm.
be predicted. But we can just get in now that the protect ban phase is over.
Yeah, it looks like both protects and bans coming in. Yeah, it looks like uh, New Love gone, and also LN3. I think I think he's gonna pick Rice, and yeah, that's what it's gonna happen really because Bronya has to play Rice in most situations. Like he has to be picking Rice because and any other skill set other than hybrid, he probably has a hard time with LN. I mean, number 14 and number 18 on the LNs, pretty tough, honestly, especially against Forken. We're gonna be seeing what's up.
You want to know a fun fact about this? This was actually 4Ken's protect.
Yeah, looks like it looks like he's going for the protect, which is not a strategy that you see too often, honestly.
Might be potentially playing with fire, so let's just hope Branya doesn't really get burnt in this. So 220 jump stream, hand stream. It's
Mm.
pretty much an all go out map. You start off the map pretty much kind of simple, kind of your appetizer, just your simple 1 2 hands and jumps. But then once you start, there is no stopping until the end. And let's hope that you kind of keep that consistency, because especially on a map that's 1 minute 42 seconds long, finding any sort of combo break would be detrimental.
Yeah, usually, uh, small mistakes on a map that short has huge consequences, and a miss is just nuclear.
Yeah. So we already got an appetizer to what's to come as well. You have to watch out for those split trills as well in between, as we did see a bit earlier. Might just add 4 can actually 1 mil the first 300 notes as well.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, that's a pretty strong act, but also Bronya just keeping up as well. Like, just right behind them. The score difference is practically nothing.
Yeah, even a 200 could just swing things instantly around. And now we do kind of get into our mini break before we do jump straight back into things. Again, looking at the accuracy, it was a very close like, it is consistently around a 3-digit score difference. It is slightly heading over towards Forken's favor though,
Mm.
as a few too many 300s were dropped on Branya's side. But of course, we are getting into the last Ki, so anything can still happen. Both players hit that split frill transition, and here we go. All hell breaks loose.
See the very, very dense hand streams coming in. It's just Brun Zacic holding on to a very impressive accuracy. It's just that Forken. Oh man, 99.98 is just too tough.
The fact that this is a score that Seed 14 can get is very impressive. A two-way V1 double S, 154 300s, and 29 from 4Ken. That Bronya definitely did play it fire, although not getting burned. Um, it was
Not
just 4Ken definitely had the better outcome.
they did not get burnt, but let's just say he just got a little spark from his finger. Let's just say
Yeah,
with basically a more than 1 to 10 ratio from Bronya. It's just Forken had 29 300s. 999k. I mean, that's tough. And we have Forken just taking advantage of Bronya's weakness, which was Ellen.
yeah, it's something you kind of have to watch out, especially when you do have that one weakness of a skill set, which definitely, if your opponent does kind of give the research in, it can definitely make a big difference. So LN1 is going to be our coordination pick, which of course um definitely is on the harder side of the LNs, especially if you cannot hold on to that accuracy. At least with LN density you can sort of get away with it. But just knowing about this map being like a very technical song, I would say, especially all like the bursts,
Mm.
you're gonna have to kind of jump in and out from it.
Yeah, it is. As you said, this is coordination, meaning that releases are very important to keep in mind when it comes to these kinds of maps. And Zacic, Bronya actually, sorry, struggling a little bit at the start, but uh, looks like he's just trying to stabilize. And Forken was a little bit higher in the accuracy, but dropped a little bit. And you start from this Ki, and you can see the density a little bit, just a bit tough. And these, like, these releases that go into the middle of these densities is pretty tough on itself.
Yeah,
It's not
those
as technical. It's not as technical, but uh, it's practically like you're playing jump stream but inverse. Ooh, and he missed on the first column. That's tough.
especially near the ending as well, Brown will definitely have to kind of focus in for the last drop and kind of maybe even pray for a miracle at this point, as there's just not much room left in the map. And it's going to follow the same format, those LN jump stream bursts, and even introducing some of the shields which Bronya does find a drop on. Which at
Mm,
this point, I think that's just going to have to do it, unfortunately.
yeah, we didn't even mention the fact that this is a 1 minute and 38-second map, so this is just very short.
Yeah, you are right in that. 9 200s from Forken with the FC. Very good performance. Branya a small bit behind, but still a very good performance as well, especially for a seed 14. The fact that we are getting like BPMs like this and the OD being 7.4 on a map that's kind of like technical coordinated like this kind of shows you how hard these players have fought to keep up accuracies like this and in the qualifiers. So now Branya is going to be resorting to pick the stream pick, going to be Rice 1.
Mm. Yeah, and well, Rice one. This is gonna be the speed pick, and well, we've seen how good they are on the dense jump stream and hand streams. How will they fare on speed against Torken?
Well, let's just hope that they are able to keep up with speed. I have seen a few previous matches where some of the players not really too comfortable with the BPM can definitely fall behind, especially that we're at the 308 BP. We're at the 308 BPM mark, so the streams are getting a bit denser. Along with that as well, it is pretty much an all hell breaks loose map, as you don't really get much breaks at all. But we'll
Yeah,
just let the map play out.
yeah, and just like every single map that we've, uh, seen so far, under 2 minutes. So any, any mistake is nuclear, especially against Forken. He's been consistent so far.
Yeah, I would totally agree. So here we go. Um, Score is still equal. 300's dropped, but we will see the natural drop um when we do get into the Ki, which will happen a small bit soon. Getting into that appetizer where we do start to see some of those minor stream bursts, just a roll offside as well. But when we do jump into things, we will see how all of these players perform.
And here we go. You can see how these speed patterns fare for both players, and they're very close. Just the lead goes back and forth.
Yeah, and again, it's really just going to be that stare down and seeing who's going to drop that first 200, which it could be hard to see just seeing all the 300s, but you're just going to look at it unstable right and see that yellow spike somewhere. But even then, the accuracy is just extremely close. Even a flurry of 300s can change things as well. Forken finding a couple of earlier 300s, but oh my god, it's just flickering right back in center, like two siblings just trying to get a go on the Xbox.
Bronya,
But
unfortunately, losing a bit of ground with that from that Xbox, as you mentioned, and you can see a little bit of a break here with these hand streams coming in. Go advantage
yeah,
goes to Forken.
Forken getting the final tug of that controller. But as we do get to the outro, anything can still happen. Even a drop from either player, it's still likely as we do get to this outro. But will it happen?
See,
No.
nothing happens. No meteor, no nothing. Forken gets the controller.
Now it's up to Forken what he wants to play. All
Yeah,
right.
that fits because it's his next pick.
Oh yeah. So 992-994, the fact that seed 14 can keep up with seed 3 is really impressive.
Yeah, if Bronya was facing like a weaker, higher seeded player, this would have been like this was already close. But you're against Forken. But like, it's just a 1,000 point difference. Forken with 3 points in a row. Let's see if Bronya can break that streak. But uh, I think
Right?
Rice 3. That's surprising. Thought they would continue to the LN, but I think they're saving it for, let's say, that match point.
Also, dare to mention, Wormwave is still on the board for Bronya as well, which is Dare Protect.
Mm.
So, Xenon, also known as World Sound, um, if you know this song, you probably know what it's gonna be like. Icy World, I mean, the Halogen one, starts off simple, then it's just an endless supply of hand stream. It's not like that, unfortunately. We're not at that stage.
Yeah, even with the type of maps that we've seen, we're not at that level. But if you know DJ Sharpnel, we do you know how his songs tend to be charted as, and this is no different from what you think.
Yeah, you're not getting Korjak out of this.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably some people who mapped chord jacks in some of these DJ Sharpnel maps.
That's probably true. So here we are. I do believe it's only going to be the first half of the map. And yeah, I am correct. This is actually my first time seeing this map, so we're going to have to see how it does play out. But I would say something somewhat similar to the Halogen one. So a bit of the emphasis on the on the middle columns with all those jumps, which both players are not really getting too much phased out by it.
Mm. And unlike the other maps, 3 minutes, so it's gonna take some time for any mistake to show itself, to show its consequence, I would say. But it's all about the endurance. It's all about the stamina. It's gonna go tough for the longer that this map goes. Really, it's up to both players to see if they can hold on. In this case, the accuracy.
What I kind of just realized now, this could be a potential strategical pick for Forken, especially now after 3 maps, and 2 of them being Jump Stream and Stream. Maybe this could be a way of Forken trying to tire out Bronya, but it doesn't really look like that's happening because accuracy is still extremely similar. 99.98, 99.92. Could potentially see a two-way V1 double S if it does happen.
Yeah, it's not easy to hold a 99.9 in a good amount of mania maps. Looks like Bronya fell out of it, but looking to recover towards that.
Nurse kind of starting to pick up a bit maybe from Bronya. Definitely seeing a lot more of those earlier 300s. Kind of seeing off that unstable rate. But as we do get into the back half of the map, you're seeing a lot more of those one-handed trills, a bit more of that emphasis on the middle column as well, which definitely can wear a bit and feel a bit awkward after a while. But we still have the last quarter of the map. But I think both are starting to have that natural accuracy decrease a small bit, but not by much, which definitely endurance is a key factor. Bronya finding a couple of 300s there as we do get into around the last minute of the map, where it is going to be a bit more on emphasis on the stream and some alternative jumps on the left and right hand as well.
You can see Forken's stable, right? It's very, very consistent on the middle. A bit spread out just now, but Bronya also holding on to a very strong accuracy. It's just not enough. There's like 4,000 points towards Forken, almost. Oh, uh, Bronya
Yeah,
just
I think
dropping a little bit, but yeah, it's just there's not enough time, I would say. Ooh,
yeah,
and
I think the,
just at the end.
yeah, I think the word definitely has started to come up on Bronya, unfortunately. But that is going to be World Sound, a very brutal map, even just by the looks of it. And that is going to be a 999 from Forken as well. Wow, 64 300. Wow.
This is the
Oh
second
my.
999 we've seen in this match.
Forken showing off why they seeded third place and is in for a mini World Cup. Bronny as well, very impressive score, getting that near 10-1 ratio and that free 200k. It was just the
Yeah,
wear at the end that kind of had that slight misjudgment. Had that not happened, I would even say that would have been a V1 double S as well, and at least a 995.
yeah, it's just that 233 BPM, uh, you know, jump streams, hand streams just take a wear on you. But this is gonna be Bronya's pick, and if he picks the final rice map, which is his protect.
hmm As to be expected, pretty much. Wormwave is one of those maps. It is pretty known in, I would arguably say, the Mania scene as well.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, this map is very different compared to what we have seen with the other maps. As in, like, most of them were just streams. This
Mm.
is completely on a different scale of race. Just being technical.
You can already hear it from the song itself. I mean, it's just uh and also the a little bit of small increase in OD makes it a little bit harder to get a good accuracy on it. Let's see if
Yeah,
that
that OD.
yeah, you will see if that affects both players' accuracy.
Yeah, the OD 8.5 keeping all the players in check.
Mm.
So it's just gonna have to see now if anything will occur. 200s are a bit more likely on this map, of course, as this is tech. And I think Bronya just kind of has to focus a bit more, as I do say that they do find a drop, but thankfully it was very early, so may not be the deciding factor now if Forcan does trade it back, but just judging all by the looks of it, um, it might seem likely, but but again, I'm not really too sure. Map is just engraved with all those mini jacks at 160, accompanied by some of those flams and rolls as well. Not really that easy to kind of keep your consistency on, but actually, as a matter of fact, Bronya is nearly tying Forken's accuracy. It was just a rough start that kind of drew them a small bit back. And the fact that this map does only get a bit harder near the end when we do get into the more bursts, it's going to be something, let me tell you that.
Orkan holding on to a 990 for now, halfway through the map. I mean, this is just one of the easier parts because that's when the music calms itself down. But here we go. It's gonna be coming in soon.
And
This
here we
burst,
go.
yeah. Here we go.
Bronya actually gaining a small, actually finding a 200 and another combo break. That is going to be detrimental. Just kind
Is
of having their head sinking a bit more.
not a good place to miss. There's only a few seconds left on this map.
And as we do get to the outro, I think that's just going to be it. It's going to be Forken taking that 5-0 victory against Bronya, getting their way into the winners quarterfinals with a 992 as well.
Yeah, that's Bronya held out. Look at the ratios though. They're both pretty similar. It's just that the misses just made it look a lot farther than it should be.
Yeah, the difference in the MA is very impressive.
But alas, congratulations to Forken. He will be advancing towards the winners bracket. Like Bronya will fall to the losers bracket, given a second chance to continue in this tournament.
Yep. So I think Bronya is definitely going to be one of those people who will be a very threatening opponent when it does come into the losers bracket, which I will actually check the bracket right now, real quick.
Especially the Rice maps. He's been very impressive so far.
Yeah, I would easily say that.
So Forken will be facing Silicosis, who just also did his own sweep.
What a
Uh,
matchup that is going to be.
yeah. And we can see Bronya going up against Bliss. So that's a pretty good matchup. Bliss is also pretty good at Rice too.
These are going
From
to
what
be
I
some.
noticed. Yeah.
There's going to be some heavyweight boxing matches, pretty much to see from next week.
Yeah. And I think if I know correctly, there's a matchup at the same time. Forgot to mention that honestly. Between Unitori versus J1 2. Hopefully, that matchup is a pretty nice matchup in one of those. But the next matchup that will be streamed would be Plana versus Paracosm.
That is going to be 35 minutes from now, and it will
Yeah,
be streamed live on the and the PH National main. I'm unsure if Unitori versus J10 is going to be streamed on the second channel, but
it will be,
if
I think.
okay, that's good. So if so, stay tuned for that. So we're going to be taking a 35-minute break just so we can, rest.
Yeah, of course. Uh, so yeah, uh, there's gonna be a bit of a break. Yeah, as you said, we'll be right back for the next matchup.
All right, take care.